A few things have transpired recently, DJ, that have me a touch worried about you. So actually, right before this episode started, I developed my top 3 things that I'm most worried about regarding DJ Primo. So are you ready for this?
I can't wait. I have no idea what the fuck's about to happen.
Okay, number one, I think is most obvious is your alcohol consumption. I have this feeling about a lot of people that I know, but you intake a lot of alcohol. We just talked about this, how you were thinking about taking the day off, but you decided to mix up a drink with vodka in it tonight. So that's clearing away number one. Number two is how you're going to emotionally be able to react and be stable if Aaron Rodgers ends up getting traded.
Mm-hmm.
And 3, and potentially most importantly here, as it kind of relates to what we're going to be talking about during this episode today, is it, and I fall back on this a lot, it's your gambling problem. And it was highlighted today because I got home and I saw a message to our group chat that said that you were looking for advice on NHL playoff hockey betting. DJ, do you have to go down that road? Do you have to bet on everything?
I mean, when it's playoffs, I'm going to do the same thing for NBA. I'm going to be right back in the chat when the NBA playoffs start looking for bets because, like, it's the playoffs. It's, like, kind of important, I guess, even though I don't care about the sports. So I'm going to make them important for me. So whether it's hockey, which I couldn't even name more than 3 players, or NBA, which I couldn't name more than 10, I'm going to bet on them come playoff time. I don't care. And when it comes to drinking, come on, we don't have drinking problems. We're just professionals.
Well, it's gambling and it's drinking, so... Well, let's get loaded because this is the Loaded Box Podcast.
Where we never finish first because we finish last.
Wait. Now I have a real question. You were just mixing up a vodka drink. Was that a beer that you cracked to chase it with it, or is that like your mixer with it?
It's my mixer.
Oh, see, that was your opportunity where you lie. You don't let the truth get in the way of a good story. You could have really dove into it there, DJ.
It's like a Bloody Mary with a beer chaser.
Excellent. Well, as I sort of alluded to there in our brief intro, we are talking over under season-long win totals for those in the AFC. We'll be doing 2 episodes of this nature. The next time you hear from us, we'll be doing the same thing, but in the NFC. And like me and DJ talked about this before we even started, we actually do this sort of episode twice a year. We do it once now, post-NFL draft, once the season's out, and then the Vegas has the new lines out. So we like to just do it right away because, as we alluded to, degenerate. And then we do it once more, literally right before the NFL season starts, which is more of our prediction episode for the entire season. Regular season wins, playoff wins, Super Bowl matchups, MVPs, offensive, defensive, rookie of the year. We do that right before week 1 starts up. But DJ, you said you had a strategy going into how you wanted to talk about these over-unders. So do you want to indulge on what your strategy is, or do you just want to jump right into it and you can get to it?
I mean, you know me. I like to go off the top. I don't think I looked at anything before this ahead of time. It's kind of what we do. And I know you like to go through game by game and actually do the records. I don't do that until the regular season. When it comes to this right here, it's too early. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to look at the teams based on talent. I just want to compare it. I'm sure I won't compare it later, but I want to compare it in my head and think that I'm going to compare it.
You got intentions.
Yeah, like I had 10, like future DJ will not compare the two. But in my head right now, I am going to compare it in the future. I'm just going to go off of pure talent. The 17 games, 18 game schedule might fuck with me a little bit. I was thinking about this earlier, but I'm just going to go off of if I think it's a talented team, based off of that, I don't care who their opponents are.
So like DJ had said there, I do it the opposite. If you're a loyal listener, you know my strategy. I go through every single game of every single week. I have a little tally chart. I go all in, and then I can compare what I have for wins versus what Vegas has for the wins. And I can do a lot of my betting based on that. As you'll hear throughout the podcast, I don't use that as the Bible by any means. Like, for example, I'll spoil alert here. The Texans going 0-17. Do I really think they're going to go 0-17? Absolutely not. However, so you got to read between the lines a little bit. You got to know yourself. You got to know how you want to do it as a gambler. So, DJ, let's just jump into it right away. If you're watching live, you'll see the win totals on the scroll on the bottom there. We're going to start in the AFC East. We'll go with the team that has the highest win total amount first and foremost in each of the divisions. And DJ, that is the Buffalo Bills. Their over-under is set at 10.5. Vegas wants you to bet the under here because it's plus 125. If you want to bet over 10.5 wins, it's minus 155. How you feeling about the Bills? Is this something that you would bet on?
I wouldn't bet this, but if I had to lean one way, until I see this team get a run-in game, I think that you could see their win total regress from the previous year. It's just it's almost like a Lamar Jackson situation, I think.
That's going to happen though this year. Don't you think, okay, we had a year Josh Allen blew up. He was in the MVP talk. That team was so good offensively. You're like, okay, well, defenses are going to adjust to what we did. Now we have to do something else. I think that running game, and we talked about it. We were right on. What the hell was all that draft talk about them taking a running back? Not necessary. They didn't address it whatsoever. Singletary, Zach Moss, Matt Breida. You've got enough. It's fine. I think they're going to throw that out there. I think it's going to be a decent unit this year.
You said Matt Breida in there. Wasn't he on the Dolphins last year too?
He has a speed element, man.
Yeah. What did he do? What did he do last year for the Dolphins?
He fumbled. He got benched.
Yeah. So no, I would if I had to go one way, I would definitely go the under on this because I do expect regression. Plus, I do think the Patriots are going to be better. I think the Dolphins are about where they were the last year. They're a good defensive team. Tua might, be the one that fucks with them, but I think they've got better teams. Jets had a great draft. Obviously, they're probably a couple of years away with Zach Wilson and the offensive linemen and guys that they're bringing in, but they're going to be a definite improved team for sure. So I think their division and as a whole just got more difficult. So I do like the under. I do favor the under. I'm not overly excited about the under, but I would definitely lean under on this one.
So I actually pinpointed 5 teams in the AFC that I like and that I'm going to tell people absolutely bet on. And DJ, we have to go opposite here. And I'm going with what Vegas doesn't want me to do. I'm going over. I have them going 14-3. You go through this freaking you go through their schedule and you're just kind of like, well, what games are they going to lose? It's going to take some upsets. And granted, did they win 14 games? Probably not. But man, all you got to do is hit 11. And we're talking about a season where you're adding that extra game. And let's just go off topic for a second. You are 100% spot on. Me looking at my records and seeing 14-3 and 9-8 and 12-5, I thought I was doing this wrong. I'm like, oh God. My brain is just so used to your number needs to equal 16 and it doesn't do it this year.
You know what I'm going to do is I'm going to give everybody one tie.
There you go.
And it's just going to be 8-7-1 or whatever, or 8-8-1. So I can keep it. I can keep the standard record of 8-8 or 7. God, now I'm screwing with myself. 6-10 or whatever, and 6-10-1. 7-9-1 every time, and just keep that tie. Just everybody gets an automatic 1, and then we go from there.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Like, their offense is already so good. I think they get that running game going. If anything, there was a defense, it's like, who's your cornerback opposite Tre'Davious White? And maybe that's still a battle, but they'll get that thing figured out. The whole Josh Norman thing wasn't quite spot on last year, but that's a good-ass team. And yes, I think the rest of the division also improved, but over 10.5, I feel I'm laying a little bit of cash here, but I'm going to do it. So that's one that I would definitely highlight. Let's go on to the second team in the AFC East, the New England Patriots. Over-under is set at 9.5. If you want to go over, it's plus 100. If you want to go under, it's minus 130. Do you have a lean on this one, DJ?
So plus 100 is even money. Yep. I do not like that. Why is it so high? If I would smash the under here. Mac Jones probably isn't the one to come in and just give them like 10 wins here. I know there's an extra game, but 9.5 after the season Cam and the Patriots had, I don't personally get it. I love the under in this one.
See,
plus all the massholes are going to bet the over.
It's way too early to predict. I would say it's probably Cam's team for the time being. At least roll it out and see what happens. Way. This team is getting so much back, though. And remember the first day of free agency, DJ? I know it's not the Patriot way. Who was more aggressive than the Patriots, like, of all time?
They have 2 tight ends and still no wide receivers in my head.
Wide receiver is a weak spot, but think about what Belichick
And a
has
bunch
done
of
in the
shitty
past.
running backs.
That's what they do, though. They just
They
get
don't have Tom Brady. All right, I'll buy
They
it. They don't have
They
Tom
don't.
Brady. He's clearly just extremely smart. Like the combination of those two brains together were just another level. Like he studied the game,
Yeah.
he understood it, he knew it. So it took the combination of those two. And maybe it's just Belichick can't do it completely by himself. He needs that extra brain.
I was listening to a podcast recently with some guys that are smarter than you and I, and they were defending the Patriots wide receivers moves of adding Nelson Aguilar, of adding Kendrick Bourne. Because I'm with you, like those are just guys. Those are just kind of dudes. But the way that the Patriots run their offense with their wide receiver, like route trees and concepts, you need, like, why didn't N'Keal Harry fail? Because he wasn't polished. Like you need these veteran guys that understand that I'm not going to be the one getting open on this route. I'm running this route in an attempt to get this guy open so that this works. Those are the veteran types of guys that it works. So yeah, are they flashy names? No, not really. Are they going to put up gaudy numbers? Probably not. But will it potentially work on a team that wants to run the ball anyways and choke you out with their defense? Potentially. But that's what I'm going to here is I had them going 9-8. If your over under is set at 9.5 and I'm already kind of iffy, I'm not touching this thing at all.
N'Keal Harry didn't succeed because he was average at everything. Can't separate, not great speed. And the best thing, I just wanted to diss N'Keal Harry for a second.
I know.
And the only thing he was good at in college was beating up smaller cornerbacks. And then he got to the NFL and it wasn't the same thing.
Yeah. A lot of things. You can chalk up N'Keal Harry too. I don't want to get into a pissing match over him by any means. But so you're a pass on this one?
No, I said I bet the under on this one.
You're under on this one. I'm going to pass on this one. Let's go to the Dolphins. They are set at 9. Over is -130. Under is even money at +100.
This is a great number. I wouldn't bet this because I don't know. It's what they have 10 wins last year.
Yep.
So they were 10-6, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
The math checks out. So they'll 10-6-1 this year. I don't lean one way or the other. That 9 is a great number. I really do need, honestly, Ben, in all honesty, I need to see a full season out of Tua. I don't know what to expect. I don't know how good he actually is. No, I don't expect that by any means. Undersized left-handed quarterback. I don't expect greatness at all. But
break the mold, baby.
Yeah, I want to see. I'd have to see something. I just don't know enough about him. The fact that he got taken out in every game didn't give us enough, so I can't bet on that. They also had more turnover luck than any other team in the NFL, and that always regresses. So you have to look at those things and take those into comparison. And 9 wins is, I still think it's too scary for me. That's a great number. I won't touch that one.
I could talk this entire episode about why I think the Dolphins will go over 9, but I know no one wants to hear that. So I'm going to literally try to keep it as brief as possible while still selling you on the idea. Because I talked about having 5 bets that I really like, and this is one of them. I have them going 12-5. Another example of, do I really think they're going to go 12-5? Maybe, probably not. 11-6 seems a little bit more realistic. But remember, last year, I had the Dolphins with 9 wins, and every single person I know dumped on me.
They scored a touchdown every week on defense.
Yeah, you win some, you lose some. You win some on defense, you win some on offense. Here's part of it, DJ, though. That defense, are the turnovers going to be there? Probably not. I think they have the NFL lead or maybe even record right now for consecutive games with the turnover. It's a stupid number. That's not going to translate. I agree with that. But you're going to see a step forward in that offense because they consistently were starting 3 rookie offensive linemen last year. Got a lot of more experience now because they basically all played the entire season. You got rid of the Achilles heel. Chan Gailey's no longer there. We don't have the 68-year-old offensive coordinator, Grandpa Gailey, trying to call plays for a 21, 22-year-old starting quarterback.
Fade Gesicki every time inside the 10.
Yeah, exactly. They have been public about it. We're going to surround Tua with playmakers, which they have done. They got a speed guy in Will Fuller. They got
2 speed guys.
Exactly. And Jalen Waddle at number 6 overall. They are literally building this offense for him to succeed. And I'm going to go on record now because I'm already there with Tua. Like, if it doesn't pan out, like that could be the end of me as a podcast person. Like, this is the hill I'm dying on.
Doesn't it feel Doesn't it feel good for you to be able to say that they are building a weapons around Tua? Because I haven't been able to say that for 8 years.
No, you don't really quite know what that is.
My quarterback's so good, but he doesn't get to get guys around him. They just have to work their way into good.
Yeah, that's just robbery. So I think we're going to see a nice step forward out of this offense. There's really no reason not to. And I will say it right here, right now. If we don't see a significant jump in that offense, I mean, barring injuries and whatever, we might have a cause for concern, but I don't think it's going to happen. Like, you're going to see, and like I said, I'll go all freaking day on this team, so I don't want to dwell on it too much, but I'm going to tell you, take that over. That defense is still good. They're surrounding him. But Brian Flores went out and said, guess what? The rebuild's over. We're not in rebuild phase anymore. Like, we're competing this year. And if you look at what they did in the draft, it's true. Jalen Waddle is going to start at your slot wide receiver. Jalen Phillips is going to be one of your starting main snap getting edge rushers. Liam Eichenberg is going to likely be your starting right tackle. Your first 3 pick. Oh, Javon Holland. They just cut Bobby McCain not too long ago.
Yeah.
He's probably slotted in to start somewhere on the defense as well. That's 4 for 4 NFL draft guys that are starting, and that's not always a great thing if they're not ready, but at the same time, like, they're ready to win now. Like, this is what they want to do. I love all the moves. I think if you're getting it at 9, go ahead, take the over. If you can also bet on yes or no if a team is going to make the playoffs, go double down on this team, DJ. I don't want to be homer guy. I'm not traditionally.
You are.
It's time though.
You've been it for like 2 years now. I mean, every offseason you're homer guy.
I'm all in on the what was a rebuild. Let's move on before I dive into that too farther, unless you want to bring more up.
Did you see that Tampa Bay Lightning Florida Panther game last night?
Okay, so the New York
Jets. That was chaos, dude. That was one of the best hockey games I've watched.
Degenerate.
I had the Panthers money line and lost it fucking at the end.
Good.
Yeah, it was great. I just wanted to get that was talking hockey.
There you go. Met the quota for the year. I didn't even know how hockey started until last week.
It's the playoffs, and they're playing regular season at the same time. Every sport
sucks we're still on this?
So bad in compare. Okay, no, I'm talking football here. Every sport sucks so bad at figuring out how to, like, schedule things. Have you seen the NBA playoff, like, scenarios, or they're like whatever it's called? They have
the play-in playoffs that aren't truly like
they have like a play-in / non-play-in game where, like, if you lose you still get to play again to still get in. And then the hockey's playing the regular season and the playoffs at the same time. This is why NFL is king, because all these other leagues are just idiots.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. All right, I'm upset because I think there's a hockey team called the Jets, but let's focus on the
Winnipeg Jets
version. Thank you for that. Your over-under is set at 6. Over is -150. Actually, over and under are both -115. Do you have a lean this way? Because I do not.
See, the problem here is, like, you know how we jumped on the Jaguars like 1 year too early, and I think it was like another team. I actually like what the Jets did, and I think they have some great talent on their team. I don't know how they are defensively, but offensively, I do like Zach Wilson. And they've got Elijah Moore. They've got Corey Davis. They've got Denzel Mims, who I think is going to be a top 10 wide receiver in this league. After watching him put some numbers up a couple of times with Joe Flacco and Darnold, who was getting hit every 5 seconds last year. So they have some offensive guys. Issue is defense, and the issue is the fact that they're really young and they're rebuilding at this point. So I can't jump on it too early. I really want to, but you have to lean under. Everything inside me says to, like, go over, and this is my football betting. I have to be uncomfortable. I've got to go under because I want that over too much.
I had them going 4-13. It's one that I didn't really trust myself on. I keep going back to, let's say Zach Wilson pans out, but what if something happens to him? Like, the season's just a loss. I know you can't bank on injuries, and that's probably a dumb thing to even bring up. But at the same time, like, I agree with you. I like their offseason. They're going to get C.J. Mosley back on defense, who opted out last year. You got Marcus May, who's a really good safety. They've got pieces. Cornerback, though, like, outside of May at safety, their cornerback is just a struggle. They're going to be in some shootouts, and I think Zach Wilson is that guy. But, man, Zach Wilson might, like, be like a good – I know we're not talking fantasy here, but they're going to have to score points. Like, they're going to give up a lot of points. They're going to have to score some points. I just don't know that you really want to throw a rookie quarterback into that. The nice thing about Zach Wilson, he's going to get that like Justin Herbert treatment this year, where you're probably not a playoff team, but at the same time, you can just go out You can just go out and do your damnedest every single freaking week. And what are the repercussions? You lose and you get a better pick next year.
Is he the only guarantee rookie to start from week 1?
Well, Trevor Lawrence.
Oh, sorry. Outside of Trevor Lawrence.
Guarantee, yeah.
Yeah, it seems
Based
like it.
on what you read anyways.
Yeah, I mean, there's nobody else there, right? Trey Lance has got Garoppolo and Newton's in New England, so
right.
Well, I suppose Justin Fields, but the Bears keep fucking.
They keep talking Dalton's number 1, but
they're not. I feel like that just tells me that Justin Fields going to be starting.
Right.
Like if you have to keep saying it to try to convince yourself he's going to be the starting quarterback, he's not your starting quarterback at all by any means.
I agree. That's going to be a hard pass for me. Let's move on to the AFC West. Let's start with the Chiefs. Over under is set at 12.5. Over is -105. Under is -125.
They're going to be on a fucking wrecking crew this year. I don't see them losing more than 2 games. I'd be more than comfortable betting the over in this. I'd be shocked if Patrick Mahomes is healthy the whole year with the revamped offensive line. Yeah. No way they lose more than 2 games. They just don't.
Does the Super Bowl losing hangover impact them, or are they immune to that? Like I feel like that's an immune team.
Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady, you don't get that. That doesn't happen. So no, they're going to be angry. Their offensive line is going to be better. No chance. No chance they lose more than 2 games. There's just no chance. Like if I had to say that would be my top over under bet probably out of everybody in this thing.
Yeah.
They had to put this at 14.5 for me.
Your line is spot on with me. I'm going 15-2. It's funny. You go through the Chiefs schedule. It's hard to pick games for them to lose. If memory serves me right, I think I had them losing to Baltimore. I think it was a game at Baltimore. And I think I had them losing a game to like the Raiders, just because the Raiders always play them a little
Chargers
bit.
Chargers gave them problems last year.
Chargers did give them problems in that game. That Herbert first start game was a close game.
Oh, both games. I think they were tight.
They probably lose more than 2, but at the same time, I talked about my 5 bets that I would recommend. I do think the division's a little bit better, but I also think that if I have them at 15 wins and you're only going to need 13, I like it. And I don't think the Chiefs.
I like it.
I mean, think about we think about NBA, like teams being in
now you're going to talk about
it. Yeah, now here I am just being a hypocrite. Think about like the Warriors, how they like set the record for most wins in the season, and then all of a sudden the next year it's like, well, they were resting guys and they don't really care and they weren't going to turn it on to the playoffs. You almost think about that way with the Chiefs. It's like, what do they need to show? Like they can win with their B game while everyone else is playing them with their A+ game, and then they can turn it on when the playoffs hit. I don't know that they'll do that though, considering what happened to them in the playoffs. They didn't score a touchdown.
Just another reason why the NFL is better is because they have less games, so every game's more important. So yeah, I mean, you have to kind of come out and play hard no matter what.
Mm-hmm. Nope, agreed with that. I'm with you on the over there. That's one of my 5. Speaking of Herbert and the Chargers, they are set at 9. It's a great number. I love that number. So Vegas wants you to take that under though. They're thinking that they're going to go over because they set the over at -160. The under is +130.
I'm all over on this. I'm all in. I don't even care if I hurt, if I'm wrong. I'm all in on the over. All in on Justin Herbert. Has nothing to do with me owning him in Dynasty at all. 0. All in. Has nothing to do with the fact that I've been all in on Mike Williams for like the last 3 years and think he's finally going to be like just dominant this year because Justin Herbert's going to have all the time in the world, be sitting behind the Packers X offensive line plus the offensive lineman they added it all season. Solid defense. Right. My dog is going crazy on the ground, issuing himself all in on this Chargers over. This team is getting off that stupid, 3-point loss train this year. They're going to win a bunch of those games. They're going to go like 11 and what is the number? 6?
7.
6.
Damn it. Yeah. I'm off now. I'm off, man.
Yeah, no, all in on Justin Herbert. I'm putting all my chips in on Justin Herbert, the Chargers.
I was with you until I saw the number because I was like 10-7. I think they could do better than that. I saw the over at -160, and I'm like, man, Vegas is scared of people betting the over on that. I don't like it. So I have nothing really new to add other than that, other than to say right now I'd pass as we see how the offseason goes. Because, dude, if there's one team that's just cursed by offseason and in-season injuries, It's the Chargers. So this would be one that I would be like, let's just sit out. Let's see what happens when end of August, early September hits. That'd be my advice on that team.
Nope.
I was a little shocked to see the Broncos number at 8.5, especially with the uncertainty. They keep saying it's a 50-50
no, they don't.
split.
No, they don't. Oh, okay. I was going to say, don't talk about it.
Sorry. For those of you that are new listeners, DJ's a Packers fan. That's what he was alluding to with Aaron Rodgers. But their number is set at 8.5. Over is -140. So Vegas is thinking like, hey, this is not even that high of a number. Under's +110. Where do you feel here? Is this an automatic pass just because of the uncertainty?
That's a crazy, crazy scary number to see on there. As a Packer and Aaron Rodgers obsessed fan, the fact that number is at 8.5 is a crazy, scary number to see. Yeah. Because if they don't and they won't have Aaron Rodgers, he's going to be signed an extension by the end of this month. They're going way under. There's no way they get into 8.5. They're not even going to get close to 8.5 wins with Drew Lock or Teddy Bridgewater. There's no chance. So if Aaron Rodgers in there, the under is the easiest bet of all time here. The scary thing is seeing that 8.5 up there. I don't get it. Yeah. There's no reason that they should be. They shouldn't be above anybody in the AFC West. Not a single team should be under them in their over/under total. Like I have way more faith in Derek Carr than either one of those guys.
Maybe.
Not maybe.
We'll get to Derek
Drew Lock.
We'll get to Derek Carr here in a second. Let's talk about Drew Lock right now. If you remember last year, I was kind of high on the Broncos, and I admitted
Denver, it's Colorado.
Yes, high.
Good joke, baby. That was good. If you just let the people get it on their own and not say it,
I should have let it sit. My bad. Sorry, Bush Light.
Fucking ruined the night.
But what I admitted to last year was that I feel like I'm a year early. But what transpired last year didn't make me feel like they were that close. And now they lost Juwan James. He's got a whole injury deal that's being brought up with the Players Association. We don't need to talk about that because we're talking about gambling. But that was part of it. Like they just needed time. And now you're getting Cortland Sutton back. And it's promising that all the reports are saying, yep, he's going to be healthy. He's going to be good to go. But what does history tell us with these type of injuries?
Cortland Sutton.
It usually means they're back, but they're not really back. It's going to take you a year of playing to like get your speed back up, and then the following year is when it really starts to click. So I don't know that offense is going to be quite as like high powered as we're all thinking it's going to be.
Who's all thinking that? Who's we all?
So I typically think that I speak for the common man.
Okay, I don't think you do. I don't think you do at all. I think if you took a poll, nobody would think that this team was going to be high-powered by any means. Although I do love Javonte Williams. Melvin Gordon, Noah Fant, Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton. That's a good offense. That's a good young offense. And Melvin Gordon doesn't need to be like the end-all, be-all at running back. It's the modern-day NFL. Do you need a workhorse running back to do it all? No. You don't. So I'm not worried about the Miami Dolphins for the last 8 years, thinking that they don't need a good running back. They're still below average.
Back to the Dolphins. DJ, I have them going 8 and 9.
High-powered offense.
I couldn't run away from this one faster. All right, we're moving on. I'm tired of being what's the word I'm looking at? Made fun of for lack of
ridiculed. You know what I love? I can tell Ben wants to move this podcast quicker this entire time, and I'm just not allowing it to happen.
I know.
So this is my favorite thing ever.
You're a real beehole.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the Raiders. Their over-under is set at 7. I think that's a very appropriate number. I'm clearly not as high on the Raiders as you are, and Vegas has both the over and under at -115.
Nobody ever said I was high on the Raiders. I just think the Broncos fucking stink. Like these guys should be both in the 5 to 6 range. I don't trust John Gruden any further than I can throw the guy, and I can't even probably pick him up off the ground. And so, I mean, they bring in Kenyon Drake with Josh. I don't know what they're doing. I don't like it.
Weird offseason in general, right?
Yes.
Brought in another speed receiver and John Brown. Drafted Alex Leatherwood.
Yeah, I was going to say their draft pick was more than questionable. Like, I don't understand.
They allegedly said that they tried trading back, but no one provided them the value that they wanted, and where they felt comfortable that they could still draft Leatherwood.
Okay. Well, That's fun. I mean, that's the
right.
Raiders.
That's a good way to put it, though. It's like, are you sure?
That's the Raiders. That's the Raiders in a nutshell. So no, I don't like this at all. I don't think they're a good football team. They tricked me too many times. They have good players, but I mean, they have some good players. But every team has good players. It's the fucking NFL. I do think Derek Carr is a good quarterback. He doesn't get the respect by his coaches, I think, that he deserves. I think he ends up in a better situation. He's even better, but with John Gruden, don't like him anyways. I don't think he's there for more than 2 more years in regards to this because I think they're going to continue to lose. No, I don't like anything that they're doing. I would lean under no matter what their total was at this point.
For gambling purposes, I'm 100% pass. So my talking points on this one are going to be focused on a question that's aimed to you. Also heard on a podcast recently.
Okay.
You think about the teams in the NFL, and if your quarterback is at a certain level, you're fine. But if your quarterback's below that level, you need to get a new quarterback. And they said Derek Carr is that quarterback where if your quarterback's better than Derek Carr, build around him. See what you can do. If your quarterback is at or basically worse than Derek Carr, that's your point. That's where you need to reboot at quarterback. Do you agree with that?
That's a good. I like that. If he's the standard, though, if he's the level, like how do you make that decision? And when does it become?
Because that's where Ryan Tannehill was. Like Ryan Tannehill was that quarterback, and
no,
you go through 7 years of he looks good in training camp. It's gonna be great.
That's the thing. At what point? That's what I was just about to say. So you're going back to the point I was just about to make. At what point, though, do you not realize that the coaches are part of an issue as well? Like or the GM and what they're putting around them and who they're drafting. Like Tannehill leaves Gase, and he's actually a legitimately good fucking quarterback. Like he's good. He's a top 10
to
probably
12?
top 10. Yeah, I was going to say top 10 to 12 quarterback in the NFL. He's extremely accurate. Obviously, he's great off the play action. Obviously, he needs that to make him successful. But Derek Carr has legitimate NFL quarterback skills and really bad scouts, coach, GM, putting people around him. So who's the problem here? I don't know. It's hard to make that. It's hard to decipher that when it's the same guys in control with Mark Davis. So I don't know.
I'm with you. I think the problem lies that the blame has to fall somewhere. And depending on how long your coach and GM has been there, usually they get the pass. If they've been there for a little bit long, then you're gonna move on from them. But it's tough because they're just in such a weird situation.
Look at it this way: he made Nelson Aguilar a good wide receiver, and now he's on the Patriots because they think he's talented all of a sudden.
And he got a payday, yeah. All because of him and Derek Carr together. Like I mean, obviously he didn't drop few wide open balls like he did in Philadelphia, but he didn't have anybody to throw the ball to there. And then they are so hamstrung because if you remember, I mean, I'm no Raiders expert by any means, but the games I watched, they were getting torched. That secondary was hell.
Oh, so bad. Everything
so
was bad.
Yeah, like where does the blame fall? It's like I said, that's another question that we could pretty much debate for the entire time. But let's jump to the AFC North. We'll start with the Ravens. This number, I thought it was a misprint, 10.5. Wow. But then I see what it was. Vegas put the over at -150, the under at +120. Are you comfortable, DJ, taking that over and paying that little extra fee?
No, I would not bet the over on the Ravens. You know how I feel about Lamar Jackson and his skill set. It's limited.
Though. They just win.
No, I mean, not really. I mean, they've won games, but I don't think he's it. It's good. I think it's going to get worse and worse. He's going to end up like RG3. Obviously, he's different than RG3. He's more athletic, but it's going to end up with that same breath. He lasted a little bit longer, but you're going to be like, wow, like Michael Vick. He could have been he was so talented for a little bit. And then it's going to just fade it's going to slowly fade away. And we're going to talk about how athletic he was and how he's one of the most athletic quarterbacks we've ever seen. But there's just not enough to like make him there's not going to be enough to make a Hall of Famer in the future or any of that type of thing. It's just going to kind of, they're going to fade into the distance. Rashad Bateman's going to flame out because he doesn't have a quarterback and he's not that good anyway. So it's not a good situation for him. And that Browns are good. The Bengals I really like the Bengals. We'll get to the Bengals. Steelers kind of suck, but I don't know. I couldn't bet the over. I probably wouldn't bet. All of them are kind of decent. I wouldn't bet. I wouldn't bet this one though, because I do think they could slip into. I don't know. See, again, this is where me not knowing the schedule kind of hurts, because I'd like to see who their NFC opponent is, but I don't want to know. I don't want to know. I just don't say it. Don't tell me. I just talent only. I'm not in favor of this team. I'm just not.
This is one of my 5, and I actually highlighted 2 that I really like, and that, all honesty, being transparent, I already bet on this one. I like this. I had Baltimore going 15-2. It's one of those teams.
Oh my God, what is wrong with you?
I struggled.
Jesus Christ.
I tried to be hard on them. It's hard to find games that they're going to lose. And I agree with you. We're on the same page with Lamar Jackson. I don't think he's a great passer, but Jesus, they're going to try to make him be. Like, you got one of the receivers in the NFL draft we talk about all the time that can do a little bit of everything. Rashad Bateman. You already had Hollywood Brown. You already had Mark Andrews. You already had one of the best rushing attacks in the league. Now think about it. I think it was the 3rd or 4th round. You also had Tylan Wallace. Not saying that he's going to be a day one contributor and do all this jazz, but that's a really good wide receiver as well. They are doing everything possible to surround this guy with talent, to give him an opportunity to succeed as a passer. Will it happen? We'll have to find out. I kind of agree with you that no, but Jesus, they're going to give him a chance. And that defense, that's been, for as long as we've been alive and Baltimore's been a franchise, have they not just been like one of the scariest?
Were they that good? I don't feel like they were like overly exceptional this
You never
year.
want to play that team. You want to play Baltimore ever?
I don't care who we play. I have Aaron fucking Rodgers at quarterback.
For now.
Asshole. It doesn't give a shit who we play on defense. It means nothing to me.
Here's my take on it, DJ, though. I'm going to swallow that 150 all day. 15-2. If I'm off by 4 games, I'm still fine. Like,
you are way off.
It doesn't matter. I can be way off. 10.5 doesn't seem like enough. Vegas doesn't want you to bet that over. That's why they put it at that number. Swallow it, take it. I have 2 bets in the AFC that I extremely like. This is probably like 1B. I like the other one that I'm going to highlight later even more, but this would be my second favorite one.
Have you ever, like, this pisses me off. I went to type in the oh shit, I'm going to be old. Whatever, the search bar, not even the search bar where you actually type in the website on the top.
That's funny.
The URL. So I went to type in the URL, game by the Ravens like record or game by game last year, just to see how many points they were giving up. And it took me to Bing. And I've never been so irrationally angry for something to take me to something. I'm on Google Chrome. Why is it taking me to Bing? Like, how do I set Google? Did you know the most Googled word or most binged word on Bing is Google?
Is Google. Yeah, I could have assumed that if you'd have given me just a guess.
I wasn't guessing. I was just telling you.
What's the word that I've heard recently over the weekend? It was trending on Twitter and social media. It was geriatric millennial. It's like the very tail end of millennials. We don't technically fit into it, but I sense close. A lot of it into me where it's like, I should be better with a lot of these things, but I'm not. Like,
yeah.
According to like my parents and other people, I'm great with technology. I'm fucking Bill Gates. I'm Einstein.
Yeah, we're fucking kings.
But yeah, you give me like 20 whatever year old Mikey in our as a podcast contributor, dude, I am then my dad. Like it's
well, you're kind of weird sometimes so about like pictures and shit. Like who can do that? Who can put these pictures together into one? I'm like, I can actually do that in like 10 seconds.
Man, life is moving too fast.
You're doing shit on Canva now though, so I'm proud of you.
Very basic. Let's go on to the Browns. This one intrigued me. As I went through their schedule, I thought I was like giving them way too many wins. And then lo and behold, I was damn near right at their number. Their number is 10. Over is -150. Under is +120. How you feeling here, DJ?
Yeah, I don't think I'm touching that one. I this whole division makes me weirded out. I like what they have. They obviously have a really good running game. Some talented skill, and Jarvis and Odell will be back, and all those guys out there. Austin Hooper, right? So and their defense is improving. Obviously, they have one of the best pass rushers in the NFL.
Two of them.
Myles Garrett, 2 of them, yeah. Chubb, right?
No, Clowney, but
they just got Clowney.
Clowney's a freak. He hasn't been like a statistical production
Broncos.
guy, but
Chubb's on the Broncos. I don't know where my brain was
fear.
there.
Like if Jadeveon Clowney is your second best pass rusher, you're doing okay.
Yeah, Jadeveon's weird. He like people want him, but they don't want him, and I don't understand it because he doesn't have any run. Yeah, he doesn't. play run defense, and we all live off the one highlight where he just killed somebody. And it was at Michigan, right, that they were playing against, where he killed that guy in the same swoop, picked up the ball with one giant paw and started running. Like, that was one of the most incredible highlights I'll ever see in college. Reggie Bush, like, punt return or whatever. I think it was probably against Cal, or he had a big run down the sidelines like that. Like, there's always a couple of highlights in college that you'll see over and over again. That was it.
That's like the defensive one of all time.
Right. Exactly. That and Dominican Suit ragdolling Colt McCoy. But I just don't know what to do with a team that's really, really reliant on the run in today's NFL. It's hard for me to support and back them, even though they played well. It's still hard for me to jump on that train because I don't know that Baker Mayfield's the guy who can take you to the Super Bowl. I really worry about that.
Yeah.
So I'm not in on. I'm not going to bet the over, but I'm not going to bet the under because it's that 10 with the 17 games is fucky with me. Like, they can win 9 in 16 games, so why can't they win 10?
Right.
Like, or 11 or whatever. So I'm not going to touch that. That's too close to that 9-10 area. I don't like the one game off. It's throwing me off.
Yep, I hear you. I had them going 11-6. I'm like, I can smash the over. The Browns are never that high. And then I saw it at 10, and I saw the line at -150, and I was like, yeah, you know what? I'm not going to do that, especially going in with the mindset that I really liked the Browns and wanted to give them wins. And then when I was only 1 over, that's just a clear no bet for me. I think their defense is going to be improved. I like the moves that they made. Like you said, Odell's coming back. But, Jesus, if you look at it from a statistical standpoint, they're statistically better without Odell, which doesn't make sense. I don't know if him and Baker just aren't quite on the same page or what that boils down to, but they've got the team. This has been kind of like 3 years in the making now, where there's been hype around the Browns, and you finally saw them last year just muck duck the freaking Steelers in that primetime playoff game where the snap went over Roethlisberger's head and just set the tone for the entire thing. So, yeah, they got a lot going for them, but -150 at a 10 win for the Browns just doesn't appeal to me. So I'm going to take a pass on that one as well. I'm pumped to hear what you say about the Steelers. A lot of people in America like the Steelers. They're not they never get the America team thing, but man, there's a lot of fans out there, and you're like the anti that. You hate them. They're set at 8.5. Over is -130. Under is even money.
I mean, they drafted a running back in the first round this year, and they're a team that lost like their last, 4 or 5 games, and it was a team that everybody picked out. It wasn't just me and you. It wasn't, some other podcast that was like trying to be hot takey, like Pittsburgh's not that good. Every single person in the world knew the Steelers were not a good football team. You just watch them, and you're like, they're fluky. Every podcast I listen to, they're a fluky team. This doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And then they go on, they lose 4 in a row or whatever, and then they lose the playoff game, and they are who they thought they were, right?
Mm-hmm.
They were exactly that. And I don't see what's going to be the difference between last year and this as a continuation of their end of their year. Like, I don't like Ben Roethlisberger. He's done, and he's got them taken hostage. He took the Steelers hostage, and they can't get out of this situation where they're stuck with this guy. They're too loyal. Like, I wish the Packers would treat Aaron Rodgers the same way the Steelers treat Roethlisberger, and Roethlisberger stinks. But he's taking this team hostage, and he won't play under, center. He won't take steps under center because he can't get back to the running back. He won't. He can't do it. I think it ruins part of the running game. His wide receivers suffer because he can't, move around like he used to. His arm's not the same, and he's just an idiot. Like, they say, his game isn't the same as what it used to be. He thinks he can do that same stuff, but he's not as mobile. So they're taken hostage by Ben Roethlisberger, and they can't do anything about it until they can get his ass to just die. They need him to die. That's the only thing I think that's going to get off this field, because he's so vindictive that he's like, no, I'm not going to let anybody take over for me. Right. And he just keeps staying no matter what.
It's weird that they've committed to him financially and with the contract and with the starting position, but they really haven't committed to him with we're going all in. Let's make one more run at it. They've done the pieces. They added Najee Harris. You brought back Juju on the small deal.
Nobody wanted him, apparently, huh?
That's part of it. It was such a there were so many names on the market, and it just was just
Right.
a cool market. So, well, let's just go back for one more year. So the commitment is weird on a couple of different levels to Roethlisberger. And if you don't go all in, if you don't just have like the stingiest defense, and granted, I like their defense. And yeah, I love Najee Harris. I'm
Great
not
pass
about
rush.
taking or running backs in the first round, but if I were going to take one, God, it'd probably be him. Like I'm just a big fan of his. But when you look at the glaring needs on the offensive line, when you look at what you could potentially be doing there on the outside with adding another playmaker, even a veteran playmaker to go along with Juju, just to go all in, like that's kind of what you're doing by keeping Roethlisberger. You're saying you're going all in, but then you didn't really quite do that. They're just in this weird lull to me, and I had them going 5-12. This is the prime example. Do I think they're going to go 5-12? Probably.
Maybe.
Well, I think they're going to be closer to that 8.5. Well, obviously, you can't win a half game, but that 8-win total. That's why I look at this and I'm like, no, there's plenty of other things to bet on. So I'm gonna pass on this one. Curious to see how this line maybe even adjust a little bit throughout the offseason, but I guess we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
But Roethlisberger have, because all of his murders are out in public, so he must have somebody on somebody in ownership that he like. I don't know how he still plays for this football team. Like, I feel bad for Pittsburgh because they buy into like in Pittsburgh or like Roethlisberger was good last year. We all could see that he sucked. Like he was the reason for their downfall, and we knew it the entire time. Guy can't fucking walk around without 14 ice bags on his body.
No, you can't move.
I get so angry.
In the era when like physical fitness and diet and physical therapy and all this stuff is like top priority for so many people, and we're seeing careers extended, Ben Roethlisberger said, nah, throw me a bag of ice. I'll be fine next week.
Wheel me out there. Let me fucking throw that ball around.
We got one more team in the North. It's the Bengals. Their over-under is set at 6.5. Over is -125. Under is -105.
A lot of this depends on Joe Burrow, it feels like, and if he's there for game one and how mobility is part of Joe Burrow's game, so how he moves around. He's a pretty athletic quarterback. Obviously, they need that offensive line because if he I really don't like him. I love Jamar Chase. I love everything about him. I don't like the pick. You watch your quarterback. I said every week up till the death point that he is going to die. Like, you need to get him out of the game because he's going to die. Right. And you know what? When it happened, I wasn't even like, I was angry because they are so blatantly stupid to just let him sit back there and get hit constantly because their offensive line is so bad. But I was like, not shocked. I wasn't like, oh my God, I can't believe. No, it was going to happen. It was a guarantee. He was going to get hit by two guys at some point, and one guy was going to be hit his knee, and that's exactly what happened. And he was out for the season. So I don't like that pick. T. Higgins is really good. Tyler Boyd is good. Like they have guys at wide receiver that they need there. Add more protection for this guy. This is your franchise. Now you're still, I know they added offensive line, but just continue to do it. Look what the Chargers did with Justin Herbert. That's what you need to do with this guy. They have the weapons. I do still like the over in this. Again, it's another thing where I'm a little bit biased, but I'm all in on Joe Burrow. I think he's going to be a very, very good quarterback. I think he would have been the rookie of the year last year if he were healthy all year. He's 1,000 times better than Tua Tagovailoa. This is my guy. This is my guy, Joe Burrow. Obviously, need to improve a bunch on defense as well. So they still have a lot of ways to go, but I think they can get 7 wins. 7-11. Yeah, they can do that.
I'm going to change my little name.
7-10.
There you go. I'm going to change my name on this little live stream here to just say Bear because you were just poking this guy right now, and this is bullshit.
What are you going to do? Jump through the screen? Pussy.
Don't cut me. Oh, man. DJ, I actually agree with 100% with your analysis there. I had them going 8-9, but the reason I wouldn't tell you to hit the over on this one is because of that health. Is he going to be 100% healthy right away? Is he going to stay healthy if and when he does play? Did they add enough? Is Riley Reef that protection that you're going to trust in? I got just massacred on social media when I did my NFL draft grades. And I said, you know what? Love Jamar Chase. You got familiarity there. This dude's a stud, one of the top receiver prospects we've seen come out in a while. But you just passed out what could be a generational talent at offensive tackle and the position that you needed to protect who you took number 1 overall the year before. Didn't really go all that well for you. And people were like, oh, well, Tevin Jenkins is still on the board and all these guys are still on the board. Well, guess what? They didn't take those guys. Like they ended up with an offensive lineman. But if you compare like Sewell and the receiver they could have got versus Jamar Chase and the offensive lineman that they did get, it's not really comparable. So I agree with what you said there. I know that you want to get this guy playmakers. I know if you can get the ball out of your hand fast that you don't need these elite guys, but at the same time, Jesus, you need pressure because if you're playing 17 games in a year, at some point pressure is going to get to you. So yeah, I have them at 8 wins. It's a 1.5 over what they're marked at with Vegas, but I can't in good conscience tell you to bet on it.
Yeah, and if I get murdered or whatever about the Jamar Chase and the I don't like the pick, I was texting you like how much I did not think people I really do think I still think people are underestimating how good Jamar Chase is. Like I think he's going to be one of the best wide receivers we've ever seen. I really do believe that.
From like day one of when LSU like started their like outbreak season, you're like, dude, this is my wide receiver one.
I love this guy. And I was texting you about it. It's like, I love Kyle Pitts. I do. I think he's a generational talent potentially too. But I was like, I really don't think I know people are like trying to be like, oh, Waddle might actually be as good as Chase. I don't think they understand. It was Jamar Chase to me. And I don't think it's even close. And then it was multiple like spaces between the tier. And then it's Waddle and Devontae Smith. Like neither one of those guys were close to the talent that Jamar Chase is. Still think that this is a bad pick for the Bengals because they have the guys there.
It's funny. It just all depends on fit sometimes. Let's move on to our last division, the AFC South. Start with the Colts. They've got the most wins according to Vegas. They're set at 10. I'm excited to hear what you have at this. It's the over is even money at plus 100. The under is minus 130. So Vegas kind of wants you to take the under here. I was surprised to see it at 10.
Weird. It's so weird. You know, Carson Wentz, who we haven't seen do anything forever. They've got some talent, and obviously Michael Pittman, a wide receiver, Jonathan Taylor,
talented team, great defense, great offense,
great defense. But it's so weird because like last year the defense was amazing. The year before the defense was kind of average, and they haven't. And then the before they were also really good. So it's like, well, who are they? But
right.
So I don't know what I'm going to think about that defense. They're probably still really good, but at the same time, I'm going to ease off on them because I think people are going to think that they're this ultra talented team and they might come down a little bit. But that's the NFL. It's kind of is what it is. The key is Carson Wentz. So ultimately, 100%. Do you think Carson Wentz and what is it, Ballard, that can return their whatever they had?
Yeah. When
he had his amazing season where I was like, all right, I guess Carson Wentz is good. And then he made me look dumb for the rest of my life. Do you believe that can return or not?
That's the question.
I'm out on this. I'm out on it. There's another one where I just want to sit back and watch. Same as Tua. Yep. I want to sit back and I just want to see how they play. Yep. And maybe I'll bet honor against them the next year. But I want to see them play a full season on a new team or actually play a full season in Tua's case and make a judgment then, or make bets on them later in the season, you know? So I just want to see them play a few games before I start to play. Like, all right, now I see what it's going to be.
That's 100% the question is surrounding Wentz. But the one thing that I would say that he has going for him, or actually it's a couple of things, is this offensive line is like reminiscent of what he had with the Eagles during that Super Bowl run, where that wasn't a weakness. That was an all-time strength. That was arguably that team's best asset was their offensive line. Gave him time. He wasn't making the errant throws. He could process things and find his open guy after his people had time to separate and whatnot. Also, you're feeding him a running game that was one of the best in the league last year. Did he have that with the Eagles really ever? Even when they went to the Super Bowl, it was kind of like a three-headed it was like Corey Clement. Oh God, I'm even
it wasn't even good.
Who else was even there? Like
Sproles was there, wasn't he?
Sproles might have been. I don't even remember.
I think he might have been.
But now you're going to give him Jonathan Taylor and Nyheim Hines as, if not security blankets out of the backfield, but like Jonathan Taylor who can just pound the rock, like young running back that's just meant for that. Like that's how this dude was bred.
And an offensive line that's ridiculously good.
Exactly.
That, but yeah,
and you hit the defense, and then you have that defense to go on top of it. So they're set up in a perfect situation. Like if Wentz was going to go anywhere to rejuvenate his career, it was Indianapolis. Like this is a dream spot for him. But when I go through their schedule and I only have them hitting 7 wins, I get a little nervous because I'm like 10 after everything I just said. feels more than doable. Plus 100, man, Vegas doesn't even want me to bet it, and I'm getting good odds here. But I can't in good conscience, once again, tell you to bet this one. The next team I like, that's my number one bet. But this one I just can't quite do.
If you're the Colts and they win 6 games this year or 7 games, what do you do at quarterback? That's what I'm curious about. That's all I want to know. That's the offseason I want to see next year.
Man, you're making me I told you I had a couple of Busch Lights before this. Now you're making me think way too damn hard, because that's a level question.
I want to see is Carson Wentz win 6-7 games.
Jesus.
What do the Colts do with the number 7 pick or something like that? Or number 9 pick. That would be awesome.
Don't do that to me.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this next team, because I alluded to having 5 bets and 2 that I really liked, and this is my number 1. It's the Tennessee Titans. Their over-under is set at 9. Both the over and under are minus 115. DJ, what do you got here?
You know what? I don't care about the loss of Corey Davis. This team can only improve on defense because they were terrible.
100%.
I'm going over. I obviously love Tyler Tannehill. I love AJ Brown. I said this today, and it's not a hot take, but I do think he's going to be the number 1 wide receiver in fantasy, because I think he's going to have a million more targets than he's ever had, obviously, with Corey Davis being gone.
But is losing Davis and Jonnu going to hurt? Like, is the defense just going to funnel his way?
Because it's Derrick Henry.
Derrick Henry's your 1.
Right.
But then from there, like, obviously AJ Brown.
I think Tannehill's only going to throw it to him. Like, it's going to be a Brandon Marshall and Jay Cutler situation. That's only who he's going to throw it to. And that's it. And he's going to have so many catches, so many receptions, so many yards, and obviously he's going to score touchdowns because he just breaks tackles, and he's a great, for as big as he is, he's one of the best run after the catch guys there is. Yep. So I'll just bet the over because I love Tannehill, and I think a lot of people will be on the under. And I just don't think the defense can get worse.
I was going through this one and I was doing my tallies, and I'm like, God, I feel like I've been giving the Titans a lot. And here we go. So it wasn't like homemade tallies. Like, I'm not that much of
I did that up to 2 years ago.
I did it on an Excel document. So I'd give like a 1 and then it would auto tally it. I am that proficient enough in Excel to figure that one out. And I was like, geez, I wonder where I had the Titans at. And I had them at 14-3. Once again, a team that I thought I'm like, I kind of like the Titans heading into this year. I want to be a bit hard on them. And I know you didn't want to look at their schedule right away, DJ, but look at their schedule and try to pick out some losses. If they're at 9, you got to get to 10 wins, which means you got to pick out 7 losses. Look at that schedule and try to tell me where these 7 losses are. You don't have to do it right now, but no, you don't have to do it right now. But I said, I'm going into this thing with 5 bets. I have 2 that I really like. It's Baltimore and it's Tennessee are the ones that I really like. And Tennessee is the one that I'm going to hammer. I do agree with you on the defense. The defense has done really nothing to make me excited. I do get a little bit scared about those losses on Jonnu Smith and Corey Davis. Those are big losses. Like, you think about Corey Davis, like, was he ever like a statistical like monster prior to this last year? No, not even a chance. But he had injuries. He didn't always have consistent quarterback play. There was a lot of things going against him. And when you saw him, when he put it together with the consistency, with A.J. Brown across from him, with Jonnu working the seam, with the best running back literally in Derrick Henry being like the primary focus for the defense, it worked. It clicked. So I'm a little nervous as to how that's going to click without all those guys. But still, at 9 wins, I got him at 14. I'm going all in. That's my number 1 AFC bet right now.
Wow, you finally jumped on the Tannehill train. Maybe I should go on the opposite. I don't think I like that at all. I do not like this. I like being right about the Titans and you being wrong.
Yeah, I know. Now I crossed over and you're going to be like,
all right. Well, the Dolphins will be where I go. I really want to make some kind of Dolphins bet. I don't know. Some kind of
we've made enough. I'll come up.
Did we make one? I can't remember.
Yeah, I'm gonna actually. What you said earlier about a specific team makes me want to research some old text messages. So I'll hit you up after we get done.
Yeah,
with
that's
this.
Standard Ben. Old tweets. It's like freezing cold takes on Twitter. Like
I
could go up. I could go up and do him and just dominate all the predictions I own on him all the time. But no, he likes to bring up like these old tweets or old texts to each other. Like, I give a fuck.
Put in the effort, man. Put in the effort. Make me own it. Yeah. Let's go to the Jaguars.
We're still going.
Here's the funniest thing. We talk about this sometimes, like how like sometimes our podcast ends on the hangover. We are ending on the hangover so hard in this one because we got the Jaguars and the Texans. You want to lump these two together?
Yeah. Make it
Jaguars
one.
are at 6.5.
If you put their teams together, they still wouldn't go over.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if you put the Jags and the Texans at a total of 6.5, you wouldn't be too far off.
Just a combination of the two.
Jags are at 6.5. The over is plus 110. The under is minus 140. Texans, like I said, Texans are so tough, and I don't want to spend a ton of time on them because we don't know how this Watson situation is going to play out.
Well, he's not their quarterback one way or the other.
Probably not. They're at 4.5. And over under of 4.5. Over under is at minus 115 either way.
Davis Mills season, baby.
Yeah, pick your poison. Which one you want to talk more about?
I mean, the better team clearly is the Jaguars. Like the Texans are really bad, and they're going to be even worse if they have an old ass running back, and then they have another old ass running back, and then they don't have Mark Ingram and David Johnson is who I'm referring to. Will Fuller's gone. They brought in a receiver. What their first pick was in the third round?
That was,
and they had like 3 picks. Yeah, and then they got to the wide receiver as well, I believe. They got a wide receiver and a tight end and Davis Mills.
Yeah, they got Nico Collins
and
Brevin Jordan.
Yes, thank you. I knew what positions they were. I couldn't remember the names.
All I needed.
Yeah, so they suck. So I mean the under. It feels like who did we bet under the Jets last year? It feels like that. It feels like that. The Texans feel like that bet. Like there's no chance they get anywhere near 4. So I'm gonna go. I'm confident with that under when it comes to the Jaguars. They're scary. Trevor Lawrence is legit, but do I trust Urban Meyer? No. I don't trust Urban Meyer. I have no faith in him. This clown show he's putting together. Why do you draft? Etienne is a good player, but why do you draft? Why? What need do you have to draft Etienne when you have Jay Robinson who can do everything already, and you have so many other needs, offensive line, defensively? You got your quarterback. Add something else besides the guy that he played with. It's such a joke.
Yeah, and they talk about in rookie meeting camp, he's taken all of his reps at wide receiver. Great. You were in the first round.
Yeah.
It's a deep wide receiver class. Why didn't you just take a wide receiver?
Right. If you're going to get a wide receiver, then draft a wide receiver.
And they say, worst case scenario, we have a really good running back still that can catch the ball.
Right.
It's like, that's not how you do it. And you know me, I'm an Urban Meyer guy. It broke my heart a little bit to see that.
You shouldn't be.
I probably shouldn't be, but
he brings in Tim Tebow, who he coached, and Travis Etienne, who was Trevor Lawrence's. Like the decision making is already very bad, and I don't think you can argue with that. That's very bad decision making after getting like this quarterback and doing some things and going in the right direction. You add Etienne and trade up for him. You're upset that you didn't get Kadarius Toney because you know who he is, and then you bring in Tim Tebow because he lives down the street from you. Like, what are you doing? Like, fire this guy to the moon. I would be so upset if I was a Jaguars fan.
I can't top a fire to the moon reference. So what I'm going to say is just hard pass on those. I don't have a good feeling on.
Bet the under on the Texans. They're a team that's not getting more than 2 wins.
Yeah, fair enough. I had them, like I said, 0-17. I don't think that's accurate, but I'm not going to bet on it right now.
If you're within 2 to 3 wins, you're good.
Right. DJ, do you have anything else you would like to add to today's episode?
Hey, my son came down and did not ruin the stream, so we got that going for us.
Here's the deal. I never consider it to be ruining it because usually we just go with the flow, and sometimes it adds like an element of surprise and or nudity. Not that I'm cool with the kid nudity, but it makes you work. Like it makes you try to figure out like which area.
It was tough because it's opposite. Like I couldn't even get the right hand there. Yeah.
See, it's tough. So that's why I'm not actually going to finish that sentence.
Yeah, that's don't.
All right, good. Check us out on Twitter at Loaded Box. Check out our website, loadedboxpodcast.com. We got our dynasty rankings, dynasty mock drafts, our articles, podcast, everything you need in your life is found there. Next episode, as we had talked about, we'll be doing the same thing, but the NFC version of this. We're available everywhere. Make sure you subscribe, rate, review. DJ, send us out.
Bye.